at the Farm Bureau, and they said, you better be glad you wasn't here last week.
Snake and Farm Bureau.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We're live.
All right. We'll call this closing board meeting, June 29th meeting to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I can get approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion is second. Any comment? All those in favor? It is approved. Looks like the next item on the agenda is public comments. Looks like we have Miss Sabrina Gautier. Ms. Gautier will have 4 minutes.
Coming to the board on behalf of the consolidation and a few other things. I want to ask the question of, this come about a month ago or maybe a little bit longer, of Giles administration saying they're pulling out of the NARA Christmas tournament because of safety concerns. But yet we went to After Prom together, and we've never had any safety concerns ever, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. If they wanted to have a Christmas tournament, why didn't they have it on a different week so we could all participate, the whole county, because that brings in more money for most schools. I think it's really ridiculous, actually, when they get paid $500, they don't pay anything. They get paid to come to this tournament. And I want to ask about the rebranding cost. That has not been considered. It hasn't been brought up. It hasn't been studied. When are you going to study that? The bus routes, that needs to be studied. Nothing's been done about that. These were questions I asked a year ago or longer. And when is this voting going to happen? Are we going to be told about that, or is it just going to be something in a closed meeting? We want to know that. And we feel slighted on our end since you had 12 people speak and y'all answered everybody, but you can't answer us during the meeting. Go back and watch it. Let's see, and what is Giles County going to do when a lot of students are going to take their $6,700 and go to a different county or a different school? Has anybody thought about that? And then, will the county residents, can they handle a tax increase? That needs to be thought about. And then, what we need to go back to before COVID is putting the girls and boys sporting events on different nights, so all the parents can be at each one, because some of them have girls and some have boys that are playing on the same night. That needs to be brought up and go back to we're about the students and not COVID. And yes, Stevie, still I'm gonna agree with you. I don't think any student should have to pay to get in a game. I think that needs to be brought up again.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gautier. Next item on the agenda is approval of consent items, which includes the meeting minutes from May 3rd, meeting minutes from May 9th, meeting minutes from May 18th, meeting minutes from June 7th, bills, payroll, revenue expenditure reports, appropriation requests, title grants, field trips. No, did I get it too far? Approval consent items. So I guess I need a motion to approve the consent items.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions about the consent items?
Y'all got any questions on the title grants or anything?
No.
There's a lot of stuff in there. No questions from any board members? All right, all those in favor? Dr. Earl, yes. Consent items have been approved.
Sir, at this time, I have some employment personnel items I need to ask the board to approve. I need to ask the board to approve the following employment: Trevor Albright, Giles High School band teacher, the 23-24 school year. Whitney Matlock, Giles High School math teacher for the 23-24 school year. Nikita Parrish, Giles High School chorale, 23-24 school year. Jessica Allen, Mason McClarty Middle School teacher, 23-24 school year. Tara James, Nares Elementary Middle School elementary teacher for the 23-24 school year. Jordan Wiseman, Mason McClarty elementary teacher for the 23-24 school year. And Michelle Carter, Nares Elementary Middle School secretary, effective July 3rd.
I move we accept the employment, recommended employment as stated by Dr. Arbogast.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Excuse me. Any questions? Comments? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following resignations. Amy Wheeler, the behavior technician, effective the end of the 22-23 school year, and Catherine Slusser, Eastern Elementary Middle School Title I teacher, effective June 8th.
I'll make a motion to approve those resignations.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any question or comments? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following retirement. Tammy Frazier, Nares Elementary Middle School elementary teacher, effective June 30th, 2023. And Lisa Ratcliffe, bus driver, effective June 27th, 2023.
I move that we accept the retirements as presented.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Any question or comment? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve not reemploying the following employees: employee number 4638 and employee number 4975.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
I need to ask the board to approve the rollover of the sports officiating services RFP. That's RFP 6-2020. That's the first of 3 eligible one-year rollovers. Some of the officials have sent over contracts lasting 2 to 3 years, so all prices reflect an increase from the initial bid. These will be just for one-year rollover. That's for volleyball, wrestling, basketball, football, baseball, softball, and soccer.
Move that we accept the officiating contract rollovers.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comment? Questions?
Be a great second job for somebody.
And we don't really have much of a choice, really. I mean, there's not like that's a booming business right now. We're lucky to get what we get. It's not been awesome, but I guess maybe that's something we can teach so that our kids are better trained for the workforce, to have a officiating license when they get out.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, have you ever did it?
If you look at all that stuff, it's unbelievable.
I know. It's
It's a lot of stuff they gotta do.
well, and they really give up 2 or 3 nights a week. They travel. It's just, okay. Anything else? All those in favor?
We had the conversation at, I believe at the work session, about the calendar, so I'm asking that the board approve the quote for getting the calendar printed for the 23-24 school year. It's the calendar and the gray packets.
I'll make a motion.
That was 3,000 of it.
Okay, we get 3,000. Can we do it 3,000 on the calendars and 2,500 on the forms is, I mean, what do we need on the forms?
Forms have to go home and make sure that, every kid, everybody's notified, so, yeah, we can do 2,500, because that'll cover the number of students we have.
And that saves us, what, $1,000 on that? And then, you know, like I said, I think I view the calendar as a, it's a showcase for our students' art, and a keepsake for some of these parents. So I would make a motion that we purchase 3,000 of the calendars and 2,500 of the forms.
She had notified that mention.
Yeah, and we talked about the calendars being something that grandparents and other family members like to have too, so we need a few extra than just one per.
So, yeah, 3,000 calendars and 2,500 package forms, that should cover the forms for all of our students that are necessary.
And we saved $1,000 today.
All right. Can I get a second? Can I get a second on Jason's motion? You second, Mark? Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Now you don't have to fret over that.
She was supposed to like black out. That's a good showcase, it is. I'd like to get the forms to a point where we do more electronic, but we're just not quite there yet, so. Maybe when fiber is all over the county, we'll have a better shot.
Right, it's got information on the title grants that we have to make sure for federal. So that, all that information's in there that we gotta make sure that the kids get. As you know, each year we ask the board, the SBA requests that the board designate a delegate and an alternate for the 23 annual convention. In the past, it's been the board chairman and the vice chairman have served respectively. So I asked the board and recommend that the board appoint a delegate and an alternate for the 23 annual convention in November.
I think Melissa Glenn would like to go.
No. It's in Richmond.
No.
Williamsburg.
So we just keep it the same if we're willing to go, willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we're already, we booked already?
They want to get away.
We booked
Yeah.
room, we got room scheduled, so.
I'm good with that if Jason's good.
No, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to go play golf this year, but it's all right, I'll sacrifice.
You'll probably be on vacation anyway.
Yeah, one of the 13 vacations a year.
Oh, that was a good one.
Hey, I'm trying to be quiet down here. If somebody's gonna poke, well. Do I have a motion?
Richmond, I would go, because I could go to Cheese.
I have a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
You all were actually at the lodge this year. This is our rotation, so you're right where you're going.
Oh, at the conference? Yeah, that's better than driving.
Yeah, it's right there.
That's good.
People need to laugh with us.
Need to ask the board to approve the policy revisions that were shared with you. We had policies, I'll kind of do it separately because I know what some of the questions are going to be asked. So let me do, I need to ask the board to approve the policy revisions for AF through GCL and IGBG through LEB that you were provided in those documents. And you were provided one other one that's not included in that I'm gonna ask next.
I move that we approve the policy revisions as presented in the packet.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I need to ask the board, before I do that, at the last work session and prior to that, you were provided an updated copy or draft of the student athlete drug testing policy. It was asked that I check with council and the testing agency to get whether we were going to follow SAMHSA or DOT or what the cutoff levels would be. I checked with council recommended that we check with the testing agency. I checked with the testing agency, and the testing agency sent me information is that we should be performing non-DOT tests on the students So the cutoff levels would meet the non-DOT guidelines. So the policy that you have includes that statement in, the draft that you have includes that statement in it for your approval or discussion.
And I have a concern because that's not really a standard. It is, we are testing at DOT guidelines, according to my conversation with Dr. Arbogast, if I reported that correctly, for the 5 things that DOT testing tests for urine screen, marijuana, cocaine, there's 5 of them. We're using DOT testing levels, and then we're using non-DOT testing levels that I think SAMHSA sets up for urine screen outside of DOT. So it's not, you cannot read our policy and understand what we're testing for on the 5 DOT ones, the way they've written that. My suggestion was to be that we put a statement in there and we put the levels. That should be no secret. Any parent, anytime you're wanting to take away something from a kid and their ability to participate in athletics, I think it should be clear what we're testing on. We should be able to read our policy, we should be able to see it.
And they did provide me those levels, just, they shared the levels with me, and I have it here, and I can tell you what they are if you want to know what they are.
So we just, what you'd like, Jason, is for those levels to actually be stated in the policy.
Right, and we'll have to stay up and make sure that if it changes, we update it.
Yeah, we're going to keep up with that.
I don't think so. Urine screenings are probably the last thing to get changed.
Yeah, I mean, we can, because there's a screen cutoff and a confirmation cutoff number for both.
Do they have that on, I mean, do they have it for the 5 on DOT? I saw you showed me that.
It's amphetamines, cocaine, marijuana, opiates, and phencyclidine.
Okay.
Those 5. Those are the 5 that they shared, that the testing agency shared with me.
Okay.
So in addition to the addition of that, are we also considering this option, number 3, in red?
What we were talking about is that last sentence.
But this
That is what we're talking about, and that
Okay.
last sentence was added after the, because you already had the original paragraph.
Yeah.
The last sentence, now after that last sentence, I'm assuming the board is going to ask me to have the screen cutoff and confirmation cutoffs added as well.
right.
Is what I'm assuming.
You can just say at the end of that sentence, as follows.
As
and then-
follows, amphetamines, blue, and we may make a little chart, just to stick the chart in there, so if we need to change it, we can change the numbers in the chart.
And just so I understand, and my kids get tested every sport, every year for the whole 4 years they were in school, and I know it's, I know it's a lottery, but that's crazy to me. But what this is saying is if, at the time they get tested, they take a urine and that gets set to the side.
No,
If you were selected to have a student athlete drug test, you go in and do your oral swab. If that shows that it is positive, then they'll have the urine
Got it.
sample taken. If it does not show positive, it's gonna go on and be done.
And it is my discretion if I choose to utilize that sample. It says here.
Because that's part of the appeal. If the parent wants to appeal it, then that's when the urine would be tested, et cetera. If it's not,
When are they notified? Immediately
they're
upon
notified immediately upon
a
the test
positive
being positive.
hit? Okay.
It's what the standard, anytime you're taking away something from somebody in the court, I deal a lot with social services, I deal a lot with the drug court. Anytime we've got something where you're using the InstaRead screen and you're trying to take away some right of a person or kids, their freedom, you can do the InstaRead, but you need to confirm that. And I think that's the fairness. If we're doing that for folks that, in all levels of society, I think that's what we've got to do for our kids.
Yeah.
You keep saying we're taking it away, Jason. We're not taking anything away from these kids. They're the one that's choosing to do the drugs.
Yeah.
So if they get caught, they're taking it away from them. We're not doing that.
Well, we're not, we have taken it away when you're not offering an appeal process that is valid and scientific.
You're not, I don't care what you got to appeal what. If the kid does drugs and they get caught, we're not taking it away. They're the ones that made that decision to do the drugs.
And Philip, you're gonna deal with the problem here soon enough, because I'm already seeing it. With marijuana, you're going to get contact exposure showing up on these things.
Well, it don't work.
But it does when the parents are sitting there smoking.
Nope.
And it's legal.
Well, it's put this way. I would say 99% of the parents that are smoking that the kids are too.
Well, Phil, I'm glad that you, like I said, I'm glad you all are so morally certain when we're going about taking stuff away from kids.
Like I said.
But that's all right. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about amending.
Away from kids.
We're taking away the right to
No,
play
we're
sports.
not. When they decide to do drugs, they're the one that's taking it away from
And
themselves.
again, I'm making sure that, I was hoping to make sure we got a policy that, make sure that we don't get false positives. I think that's what people are more concerned about, is making sure that we don't have false positives instead of false negatives, I hope.
You put the things in there you want in there, but you keep saying that we're taking their right away. We are not taking their right away.
We're testing. We're the ones taking it away.
Exactly. No, we're not. If they don't do drugs, you ain't got to worry about it.
All right, so do we have,
And why are we taking the kid, the one thing in positive in these kids' lives, if they are using drugs, we're taking away the one positive thing and kicking them out of sports for 3
In
hours.
other words, you're saying it's okay for them to do drugs and just let us.
No,
and play a
well, why
sport.
don't we help them a little bit? If we're gonna take away something from them, why don't we help them?
We're not taking it away. They are themselves. When they decide to do drugs, they're taking it away themselves.
And we ought to help
That's what's
people.
wrong with the society today, because everybody wants to blame something on somebody else.
I'm not blaming it. I'm saying let's
Somebody
give our
does
kids a
something wrong.
okay, all right, let's get back to order here. We have a motion on what we have in here, including, we need a motion.
The motion would be, I guess needs to be amended, because I don't think there was any
Right,
motion made.
I move that we accept the policy as amended to put the test levels in there.
Cut the cutoff and the confirmation levels, we'll add that as a chart.
okay. We have that motion. Do I have a second?
No, second that.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Keep going.
Yes, sir.
Just to, additional information to recognize some students. I want to recognize some students from Giles High School. Congratulations to the 4x800 girls relay team, finished sixth in the state. Jordan Lucas, fifth place in the discus, was all state honors. And the soccer team, Giles High School played in the state semifinals. Congratulations to them. And they had two athletes recognized on the second team All-State, Nick Simpkins and Gavin Miller. So congratulations to them. Also, the FFA team at Giles High School participated in the state FFA convention here recently. Colton Moy took first place in the FFA Creed speaking LDE. So congratulations to him. Now it's Indianapolis bound for them to compete at the National FFA Convention in November. So good luck to them, congratulations to them, and we look forward to hearing good things about how they do. Nares High School, want to recognize that their baseball team participated in the state quarterfinals, so congratulations to them. Carson Krieger was named first team All-State. Aiden McLaughlin, Mason McCroskey, and Max McLaughlin recognized second team All-State, so congratulations to them. Track boys 4x400 team at Nares High School was second in the state, and the girls 4x400 relay team was fourth in the state. And Carson Krieger placed fifth in the state in triple jump. So congratulations to all those students. At this time, we have not done this officially yet, so we need to make sure we do this before today for.
Thanks, sir.
We have had conversations about the proposed budget for the 23-24 school year. So at this time, we need to finalize those discussions and at least have it approved, so we have our budget officially approved. As you know, the percentage of salary increases included in the budget, you had 6% average for teacher assistants and secretaries, bookkeepers. You had an average of 5% for bus drivers, nurses, and 5% for administrators. And you had an average of 5.5% for teachers for the 23-24 school year. Based on this request, we are not asking for any new county funding. We are going to utilize $150,000 of carryover to cover what is needed. So our request that we have is total operating and flow through is $51,313,310. And that local funding will stay the same at $8,283,592. I think that covers all of our conversations that we've had over the last several months.
How much of that 51 million is Stride? I'm trying to guess.
Please keep in mind that of the 51 million, we have 9 million that is Stride. That is just the ADM number, the ADM revenue coming into us, and then us paying that out to them. There's still 446,000 in the coronavirus state recovery funds, which is money that we got to do HVAC projects. And then there's just over $5 million in there in ESSER money that still needs to be spent and finalized and finished. Some of it will be spent by September 23, and the rest of it, the final part of it will be spent out by September 24.
I only ask that because while people are concerned about a lot of things in these meetings, if they see the increase over the past several years in our operations budget, that is not specific to, we have not increased that much internally. We have over the several years, but if somebody wants to know why we're $10 million.
Also keep in mind, there's $1.9 million for school construction as well.
Right.
That has to be spent on school construction that was provided in this 22-23 budget that will be utilized moving forward.
Correct.
I'm sorry, Mr. Buckham, I didn't mean.
Well, no, it's, the number we're looking at is the total revenue operations budget, 23-24 on page 2 is what, if someone wanted to look at this sheet, forward it or whatever, that's what we were operating on as a school system, not counting federal funds that are carried over and have to be accounted for in the budget, state construction grant of 1.9, and then that other 9 million from Stride. Is that would be what we would say would be what is our actual operations budget?
Right.
So to compare that to prior years.
Yeah, the Stride is just a big flow through number.
Stride is just a big, and that's revenue coming in, and it goes right out at the end of the year.
Yeah. So just to be clear, we're not a $51 million business. We're much less than that.
On this budget, the only thing, and I bring it up because I know you will have to discuss that as well on the cafeteria funds. With the proposal, do we have, where would that come from in the budget? Would that be something we're just going to look to cover out of carryover if it hit the high 150 number?
We're gonna have to look at it, carrying it out of carryover for next year because we don't have it in here. So it could be out of carryover.
Okay.
So that worst case, Dr. Arbogast, what does that include? What would have to happen for it to be that high?
It would depend on the participation rate, how many students are participating, how many meals are being served.
So if every child that didn't qualify for that, or the students in general, if we got a higher than usual participation in the lunch breakfast, then that would be when we would have that worst case scenario.
What you're doing, what we're talking about is the CEP for the 4 schools, because we know that 4 of our schools will qualify for CEP. Giles High School does not.
Explain to the public what that means, Dr. Arias, CEP.
Well, then, do you wanna approve the budget? And
Yeah.
have the conversation,
Yeah.
or do you wanna,
Well, I was just wondering, because it kind of,
yeah, it does, but I didn't wanna get too far with CEP and then not have this approved, so
Unless the
I do
board
have-
members need more explanation about that to approve the budget, we could probably go ahead and approve the budget and then,
I do
Approve this
have,
budget.
CEP was something I was gonna talk about.
well, no, and I just want to know how it fit into this budget, if it,
It would have to be, if it got worst case scenario, it would have to be out of carryover.
I think we would be more concerned about approving this if we had no carryover and we were pennies pinching budget time. We would need to discuss that right now, but I don't know that we're in that position right now, so we've got a little better opportunity to see how things go.
well, we just need to remember as we go forward that we're already operating 150 in the hole from a revenue standpoint, and we need to realize that we could be operating 300 in the hole for the year,
And what I
revenue
think,
wise.
and I don't wanna speak for Dr. Brown, I think what they can do in December, January timeframe is they can look at how the first 4 or 5 months have gone and kind of give us an idea of where they are to kind of project, give us a projection
Okay.
for the rest of these. That'll give us an idea of what we may be facing.
Then we could course correct if we needed to
Correct.
at that time.
Correct.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to approve the budget as presented?
I make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? I would like to just thank our funding and county partners, board of supervisors for working through this budget with us, with the state taking their sweet time to figure everything out. They've allowed us to get contracts moving, and the meetings that we're having with them have been very productive, and we truly are helping each other out the best we can. They've asked us to try to do a good job to shore up and not ask for money this year, because we're getting ready to spend a ton of money on upgrades, and so they're trying to take care of our people and the tax raising, and we really are a partnership right now, and that's good for the people, it's good for the students, good for everybody. So just appreciate them for all the communication and support for this budget, teacher raises, and making sure all of our employees that aren't SOQ are not getting left behind. We're taking care of everybody, and that's really what we gotta keep our eye on. So thanks to them.
Thank you. This leads me into the next conference, where I was gonna talk about the CEP. That's basically the free meals for the student body. Currently, as you know, 2 of our schools this past year, 22-23, Narrows Elementary Middle School and Macy, were CEP certified, so the students received free meals. Based on that, we shared information with you, what we anticipated, that we thought that we were gonna have more schools qualify. We waited on DOE to help verify some of that information, and we know now, as I shared with you, that Narrows Elementary Middle School and Macy, besides that, Eastern and Narrows High School will qualify for that also. Unfortunately, Giles does not. So, we have really 2 options. We can do CEP individually for those 4 schools, and Giles High School would still be paid lunches. Or we do CEP division-wide, roll Giles High School into that, which would provide free meals to all of our students within the school division. We're required to do the CEP for the 4 schools anyway, so you need to keep that in mind. But in the conversation already started, if there is a loss, we're responsible for the loss, the division is, not the school cafeteria fund. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, you're fine.
point in front of you. The school cafeteria funds cannot cover that loss. If we do division-wide and include Giles High School in that, that's gonna help by adding those students to help get more participation and help try to lower the possibility of chances for a loss at the end of the year. And under both the options I mentioned to you, we could experience a loss. We could experience a loss of $30,000, upwards of $150,000. It's difficult to submit, for us to sit here and tell you what that loss is gonna be.
So we're participation, if participation goes up, we,
Less of a
okay,
You'll have
so,
less of a loss.
I hope that we are, I mean, I think we've got to, you know, it makes sense both ways to do all the schools, but I think we need to be pushing our meals, everything we can from administrative level, and making sure they taste good and everything else to get these kids.
Well, we've got some additional ideas potentially of, at the high school level of how we can add additional items that would appeal to students. We're looking into that, but we do want our participation to increase. One projection we ran was 15%, which was a more conservative 2019, which we were told to use. That projection gave us a higher loss. Our state, the state contact ran a projection on COVID numbers at 23% increase, which lowered that loss. So our goal is to be at 0.
How much have we gone down since we've gone back from everything free to what we had, you know, paying this year?
I don't have an exact percentage, but we have decreased at, you know, Giles, Nares, and Eastern, you know, where the lunches are not free. Of course, Nares Elementary continues to have strong sales. Macy covered their end, so to speak, this year, but we do need to increase participation at Macy. Eastern, I am hoping Eastern, since they're a CEP school, will take advantage of that. I do feel confident, but as Dr. Arbogast stated, you know, adding Giles in can help us with participation. So, but the other thing too is if we do go full countywide CEP, we need to get some educational material out to parents. All this does is cover one reimbursable lunch. Okay, it does not include a la carte items or anything like that. It includes one reimbursable lunch, and anything extra that is purchased has to be paid for by the student, regardless of income eligibility. And one of the ways we can cover if we do have potential losses is through our a la carte items. So that's one of the things that we can do to increase sales.
So how do they document activity? Is it when we punch the student's ID number in? That's how we,
It's on the machine.
Well, you ring it, you enter it as a reimbursable meal, an a la carte item. Like if you get a water, that's keyed in. If you get a
Stevie Steele, 5432, you walk through the line, enter your code, when you come through, they see you when you come through, they go, okay, look at your tray, here's what your tray, reimbursable tray, water, milk.
I mean, we need to think about, on the lines of what Jason's talking about, maybe having a weekly competition between grades to see if whose participation was the highest, and then provide some kind of a Friday fun day activity if you had the highest percentage of lunch involvement. Just kids we're not fooling them, but if they have a reason to go through and get their lunch, other than just it doesn't matter, that just gives some kind of incentive to. Well,
we've discussed, and just offering more for our salad bars type thing. Potentially, I'm not committing to anything like a Starbucks coffee bar type thing, maybe at the high school levels. Anything that we can do to increase participation and increase reimbursable meals or a la carte items. This year, really at Macy's stress sales. I would like that number to go up considerably. And I'm hoping that the other schools will if we have countywide participation in CEP, that their sales will go up as well.
Or throw a pie at Stevie Steele Day if they win. Man, they would, that's a jackpot.
Well, I'm only one board member, but I would like to maybe see some active ideas, something on paper, not anything major, no presentation level, but just to see that we're thinking about that ahead of time and have some stuff to roll out when we come back in the buildings would be good. So I know our teachers have enough on their plate, but if somebody wanted to take some ownership of that and put some ideas together, what I don't want to happen is one particular building has great ideas, it works, and then the others aren't doing the same thing. We need to be one division. So if we're gonna do one thing in a building, we need to try to do it everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, you guys are talking about looking at it in December, but I guess as you go through, you start seeing outliers. We need to figure out whether the outlier is good or bad.
Right.
Now, I will say, this only covers students. It does not cover adults. I'm sorry.
It's what it is.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
it does not cover the adults in the building. They still will be responsible to pay. I wish it was different, but that's just the.
How much is a staff lunch? How much is an adult lunch?
It's like $250 or something.
I'd like to be able to buy lunch somewhere else for $250. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, honestly, it's the best deal in town to come in and I'll use Neighbors Elementary as an example. It's like going to TGI Friday's salad bar. I mean, it's phenomenal.
It is.
You cannot get that quality of food anywhere else for the price you pay.
No.
And I read through all the statewide VSBA stuff, and there are a lot of locations that aren't providing any free lunches to students or teachers. And so I think that's pretty solid. Get a good education and get a good meal.
So, Mr. Steele, you asked for active ideas. I'll give you a few that we've already discussed. Actually, we're gonna have Emily Cook come in this fall when we do our cafeteria training and talk about nutrition with our cafeteria staff. Maybe look at improving some of the offerings to the teachers, making those more healthy. Also, my goal, just preliminary goals that I've discussed so far this year, is more scratch-made cooking. We've also partnered with our ag lab. We're going to be doing one beef this year, farm to table. I really want to start pushing farm to table items, more fresh ingredients. Just have to find a supply network on that. But, we're trying to think of new ideas, evolve our cafeteria, our offerings, and really focus on some really wholesome food. So.
No, it just sounds good. So you need a vote from us to go in that direction.
I'm assuming I need a vote from you all, but I'm assuming that you all would want to do division-wide.
No,
That's my recommendation, but it doesn't make sense to try to single one school out.
I move that we move forward with division-wide on the lunch program.
Second.
A motion, a second. Any further discussion?
It's breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, it's breakfast.
What?
It's breakfast and lunch is what's included.
And I don't want to change the motion, but I do want to acknowledge that and I know we're going to have monthly checks on the budget, but we're not voting to green light, overspend our budget when we do this. We are voting that this is the best interest for the kids, but we need to keep an eye on that before December. And I know that's going to be our big hard check, but we need to be tracking whether we're getting in trouble or not, because the board needs to adjust the budget accordingly if that's the case, and not wait till we're in big trouble. So that's our job, to keep a check on that, but.
We can make sure each work session each month have some sort of update.
Okay, got a motion, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Because this budget doesn't include that one fixed.
No.
No, it does not. I know.
Well,
That's why I said it.
if we do this right, we could come out positive.
If you do it right and you keep.
A lot of pressure, Dr. Brown.
You should come out flush.
Well, I'll take every day a situation where us getting the kids to eat actually makes things better. That's a good, I'll hedge my bet on that.
One of the things we need to, and it's kind of going to force us to start looking at, the guidelines for salt and sugar are going to drop considerably, which i.e. eliminates all the good flavor out of food.
Yeah.
Which is going to force us to more scratch-made cooking with spices and herbs and flavorings and things like that. So I think we can use this to our advantage to revamp some things and try to come away from all this processed food, and in the process, hopefully increase our participation.
I think it's really gonna help high school students too,
Yeah.
because a lot of those high school students are still trying to recoup some of their lunch bills, and their parents aren't paying it, and you kind of, you hound the kids for it. So, I think it would increase, a student's ability to eat lunch, where they know they owe $100, so they're not gonna eat anymore. So they might not bring a packed lunch, so.
And Dr. Brown, I'll use this moment because I always hear it from one particular teacher, coach, that I know well. Some of these high school meals, what we consider filling for athletes that are going to go compete, are not very, I hear that complaint. So to the extent we could address that
I will say,
within the limit, I understand.
unfortunately, we are limited on what the amount, I learned that last year. That was one of the things they drilled into us in Richmond was it's an X amount of calories, and it doesn't matter if you're, and I don't agree with it, but it's at the high school level, it's an X amount of calories, and that's all you're allowed to serve. So, and that goes for the middle school and elementary school. There's different calorie levels, but, they can supplement those meals through a la carte items if they would like, with healthy alternatives.
Do we still do like the snacks afterwards? I know they did that for a while.
Yeah, that's CACFP. We participated in that this year. We did not do what we call the dinners. We did the actual snacks for the dinners. We usually use the prepackaged meal kits, and those were not available to the extent we needed them this year. So we made a choice to go in the direction of offering like called a snack, but we actually supplemented that with fresh fruit and other offerings as well through our DoD produce.
Do the kids take advantage of it?
Yes, ma'am.
A student could, if they got a free lunch, they could go back and buy a lunch, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So you could get
You
two
can-
lunch,
Yeah.
that's happened at my high school, 2 lunches for the price of 1 when they have a football game or
But,
something.
Mr. Buckland, I understand that's not ideal. The serving should take into
Yeah, I
account
agree with
a young man or a young woman.
Well, and I,
burns extra calories.
I just see it, I see kids that, we have to, when we practice in the evenings, well, we get peanut butter and a loaf of bread because some of these kids, that's all they get before they get to practice. They haven't had that, and whatever we're charging for a student lunch, that's an obstacle for some kids that need it. And I think, anything we can to help these kids out, let's do it. But I know you do. I just,
What if we had a pooling program where the students got together and the people who pack every day still went through and got a lunch,
We do.
and they could give that to a kid that would want to
We
have
do.
more than one lunch?
We utilize that in some of our schools. Basically, it's called a community table. It's kind of,
Right.
like oranges or the apples or something like that.
I mean, Caitlin packs every day, so she would absolutely give her lunch to anybody that would want it, instead of letting it go unused.
Advertise that, though. We couldn't advertise it. You'd have to figure that out.
I think that would be a good it's a good project for some of your leadership in your student council associations, things like that, because again, and again, I hear what you're saying, most kids are gonna be fine, they get the free one, they can buy a second one, but I know there's kids that can't afford it,
It's a fine line. We want our students and adults to be well fed, but in the same sense, I don't want to waste food. That's just, I don't want to waste.
I'm not saying that we push that internally, but if the kids knew that was okay for them to do that, if they wanted to help I see the look on your face, I don't want to break any rules, but if the ambassadors at each school took that upon themselves to do that internally as a student group, we would certainly not discourage or keep them from doing that, right?
He couldn't do it.
Correct.
It'd have to be somebody that would like doing that.
But
It could be one of his.
If a parent told their child who was involved with the ambassadors that they might need to think about that, we're not gonna get in trouble if they buy their lunch and give their roll to a friend that needs it.
If a student goes through the line and gets the lunch and they wanna give another friend something off their tray,
Mhm.
that's not
Okay,
my choice.
that's all, that sounds like all I needed to hear, okay.
No, I have to give you my lunch every day.
I know.
Lunchroom bully right here?
Okay, did we,
We've got like a minute or two before we need to take a recess to go into closed session. So I want to give you an update. We'll come back out of the closed session and finish up everything else. Literary Fund, DOE, the plan is to try to have information submitted to DOE by the second week of July. DMM says that they will have stuff ready by July 10th, I believe it is. And so our goal is, I've got my letter laying on my desk, it's already signed. Take that, when they tell us they're ready, we're gonna get together, we're gonna go to the post office together, and we're gonna send it all off together. So we anticipate that will go out the second week of July, get to DOE, hopefully in time to get on the State Board of Education agenda for July. If not, it'll be on August. So that's just want to update you, to kind of give you an idea of where we were at that time frame.
I don't know if I apologize, Dr. Argast, if I didn't make you aware of this. I did speak with Mr. Jones, and I did make an appointment to be at his office at 11 o'clock on July 10th. I did make him aware that we were going to package this together and send it hand in hand to Richmond.
So that's good.
And he agreed with that. He was
That's
fine with
good.
that.
I do have some other things, but I think that we probably won't have enough time to cover them before we need to do what we need to do. Closed session.
all right. Can I get a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel?
In accordance with Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711A, I move that we go into closed session to discuss student discipline placement and education.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in